My sister-in-law planted drugs in my room, and my husband stood by, watched it happen, and let me get arrested for it. Please stay with me as I tell you my story, and please don't forget to support our channel by subscribing, liking, and sharing with your loved one. My name is Zara Okafor, and 4 years ago, I thought I had it all. A stable job, a beautiful home in Atlanta, a husband, Emeka, who at the time felt like God's gift to my heart. He was Nigerian-American, sharp, funny, always one step ahead in conversation. Tech consultant by day, romantic playlist curator by night. You get the picture. But if I knew what I know now, I would have run the first time he said, "My sister just needs a place to crash, just for a little while." Her name was Danielle. Younger, wild, the kind of girl who wears drama like perfume. She moved into our guest room with 3 oversized suitcases and a sideways smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. I tried to welcome her, truly. Made jollof rice the first night, offered to help her find a job, even gave her one of my handbags. And at first, everything seemed manageable. Tense, but not explosive. Until I noticed the little thing. The rolled eyes. The comments about how I talked too proper. The fact that she always seemed to be in the kitchen when I was on work calls, loudly FaceTiming some guy. One day I came home to find my perfume spilled across my dresser and my favorite earrings missing. When I asked, she said maybe I lost them at one of my fancy brunches. I told Emeka. He laughed. He said, "Zara, not everyone was raised like you. She's just being herself. Chill." I did. I tried. Until one afternoon, I walked into the laundry room and found something behind the detergent bottles. 2 Ziploc bags filled with pills I'd never seen in my life. I froze. My chest locked up. And then, like an idiot, I confronted her. That's when everything flipped. She didn't deny it. She smiled, closed the washer lid, looked me dead in the face and said, "You sure you want to play this game with me?" I told Emeka everything, shaking, crying, still holding one of the bags as proof. And you know what he said? He told me I was imagining things, that Danielle was clean, that maybe I was stressed and needed to see someone. I couldn't believe it. My own husband siding with her, gaslighting me like I was the problem. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay next to him, eyes open, wondering who I had married and what I had just stepped into. I didn't know it yet, but this was only the beginning. My hands were still shaking when I brought Emeka into the laundry room. I pointed to the shelf where I'd found the bags, but of course they were gone. Danielle must have moved them within minutes. I could hear her in the kitchen, humming, like nothing had happened. I tried to explain everything, my voice cracking, my mouth dry, but Emeka didn't even look angry. He looked tired, like I'd just pulled him out of bed to complain about a missing sock. He said, "Zara, you need to stop this. You sound paranoid." Danielle peeked her head in, perfect timing. She had tears in her eyes. Tears. "I don't know why she hates me," she whispered, trembling like she'd just been slapped. I felt like I was being cast in a role I didn't audition for. The villain. The unstable wife. The jealous witch. And Emeka? He fell for it. Just like that. The next day, I came home from work and couldn't find my car keys. I always leave them in the bowl by the front door. Always. It's muscle memory. I searched every pocket, every bag. 40 minutes later, I found them in the fridge. I laughed. Not because it was funny, but because I could hear myself losing it. Then things kept happening. Quiet things. Maddening things. My nightstand drawer was unlocked one morning. And I never leave it that way. The lining was torn, and 2 old birthday cards from my mother were gone. Why would anyone take birthday cards? I opened the linen closet and smelled bleach. But I hadn't used bleach in weeks. Then I noticed it on my clothes too, mostly my work blouses. Subtle, like someone was trying to ruin them without leaving visible proof. I started keeping my bedroom door locked. Started using a travel-sized deodorant from my purse instead of the one in the bathroom. Stopped cooking. Ate cereal straight from the box while standing in the pantry, just so I wouldn't have to sit across from her. I was losing my appetite, losing weight, losing sleep. And every time I tried to talk to Emeka about it, he shut me down with the same phrase. "Zara, you need to relax. You're making this harder than it has to be." Harder for who? Even my friends noticed I was pulling back. I stopped going to brunch. Stopped answering texts. What could I say? "Hey, sorry I ghosted. My sister-in-law is slowly making me question my reality." There was one night, I'll never forget it, when I heard laughter downstairs around midnight. I crept halfway down the stairs, barefoot, holding my breath. Danielle was on the couch, with Emeka, watching a comedy, eating popcorn. It wasn't what they were doing. It was what I wasn't. I wasn't part of anything anymore. Not the conversations, not the decisions, not the laughter. Just a body moving around a house I used to call home. I went back upstairs and sat on the edge of the bathtub. Just sat there, staring at the tiles, trying to remember who I was before all of this. I wasn't crazy. I knew that. But I also knew deep down that no one was coming to save me. Not Emeka. Not even the truth. I flew back on a Sunday evening, suitcase in one hand, tired but relaxed. Amaka had insisted I stay the extra day. "You need a break," she said, and she was right. For the first time in weeks, I had slept through the night, laughed over pepper soup, let my mind rest. As I pulled up to the house, I noticed 2 squad cars parked outside. Lights off, no sirens, just waiting. My first thought wasn't drugs. It was maybe a break-in, maybe a noise complaint, something unrelated. But as soon as I turned the key and stepped inside, I saw the uniform. There were 4 of them in the living room, another one walking up the stairs. My chest locked up. Then I saw Emeka, sitting on the edge of the couch, elbows on his knees, silent, eyes darting toward me but never quite landing. He didn't speak. An officer stepped forward, asked my name, asked where I'd been, said there'd been an anonymous tip about illegal substances on the property. "You're not in trouble," he said. "We just need to check the space." I laughed. Reflex, not amusement. "Check whatever you want," I said. I opened my bag, pulled out my boarding pass, offered to show photos from the week, but they didn't want to see any of that. They wanted the guest room first, the one Danielle had been using. I followed them upstairs, heart slamming. When they opened the door, I held my breath. It was spotless. Bed made, closet empty, not a single thing out of place. Nothing. Then they asked to see the master bedroom, and I felt it. That sudden hollowness in my chest, like someone had carved out the air from around me. One of the officers opened my closet, unzipped a leather duffel I hadn't touched in months, and pulled out 2 vacuum-sealed bricks. White powder inside. No labels. No disguises. My knees buckled. "That's not mine," I said. The words sounded stupid the second they left my mouth. Another officer pulled out a small pouch tucked in my sweater drawer. Pills. Dozens. Unmarked. I turned to Emeka. He was still on the stairs, hands on the railing, watching but not speaking. I begged him. "Say something." He didn't. They asked if I had any knowledge of the content. I shook my head. My voice cracked. I told them to test the bags, check fingerprints, do whatever they needed. They read me my rights. I couldn't feel my hands. When they cuffed me, I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just looked at Emeka, and he looked away. No explanations, no defense, no attempt to stop them. Danielle was nowhere in sight. The ride to the station was silent. I stared at the seat in front of me, trying to breathe. 1 minute, I had been planning dinner. The next, I was a suspect in my own home. And the worst part wasn't being arrested. It was realizing that someone wanted this to happen, and someone else let it. They didn't give me a phone call right away. That only happens in movies. In real life, they take your laces, your earrings, even the hair tie off your wrist. Then they leave you in a cold cell that smells like bleach and old sweat, where the lights never turn off. The first night, I sat on a metal bench, knees tucked to my chest, trying to stay awake. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw flashing lights and handcuffs. I kept thinking, this has to be a mistake, and then reminding myself that everyone in there probably thought the same thing. I expected someone to come for me, not the police. Emeka. But morning came, then night, then morning again, and no one came. The officers asked the same questions over and over. Where did the drugs come from? Who was I working with? Was Emeka involved? I said no. I said I had no idea. I said I didn't even know what half of the stuff was. They didn't believe me. One of them showed me a document. Preliminary prints matched mine on one of the bags. I shook my head. I told them I never touched it. Not once. And then it hit me. The gloves. I had worn them the week before while doing dishes, then tossed them under the sink. I remembered the label, purple latex. I remembered Danielle coming out of the bathroom with them on her hands, saying she used them to clean the mirror. I hadn't thought twice. I thought a lot about that moment while sitting in a corner cell with a broken toilet and a woman named Trina who kept singing to herself at 3 a.m. By the 4th night, I had stopped speaking, not out of protest, just exhaustion. That morning, a guard called my name. I barely reacted, thought maybe it was another round of questions. Instead, I was told I'd been posted out. The paperwork was already being processed. I stood there, stunned. I asked who. It wasn't Emeka. It was Amaka. When I stepped out into the hallway and saw her face, no makeup, hair in a scarf, eyes bloodshot, I felt everything at once. Shame, relief, rage. I opened my mouth to say something, but she just wrapped her arms around me and said, "You're not staying in that house." She didn't ask questions right away. She drove me to her place, gave me sweatpants, and told me to shower. I stood under the water until it turned cold. My skin still felt dirty. The next morning, against her advice, I went back. I had to see it for myself. The house looked the same. The grass was trimmed. The curtains were drawn. The door unlocked like always. But everything felt wrong. Even the silence had weight to it. I walked into the kitchen and saw her, Danielle, eating toast at the counter like she lived there. She looked up, saw me, and smiled. Not a fake smile. A victorious one. I didn't even make it to the stairs before Emeka stepped into the hallway, blocking my path like a security checkpoint. He folded his arms and looked at me like I was a stranger who had shown up uninvited. "I don't think it's a good idea for you to be here," he said. I blinked. "Excuse me?" He sighed, rubbed his eyes like this whole thing was just exhausting for him. "You've caused enough damage, Zara. The police? The neighborhood? My reputation." I laughed, a short, stunned breath. "You think I caused the damage?" He nodded, slow and deliberate, like he was teaching a child. "You've been spiraling for weeks, making accusations, creating drama. You embarrassed this family." I turned, gestured toward the kitchen. She framed me. "You saw what happened. She told me everything," he cut in. "She said you've been erratic, accusing her of things that make no sense. She's scared of you, Zara." That word, scared, landed like ice water on my skin. "You actually believe her." He didn't even hesitate. "I don't know what's going on with you, but until you get help, you're not welcome here." That was it. No discussion, no questions, no flicker of doubt in his voice. I left the house with nothing but my purse and my car keys. At Amaka's place, I broke down. Not loud crying, not yelling, just silent shaking, like my body didn't know what else to do. She wrapped a blanket around me, sat on the couch, and just stayed there. No advice, no explanations, just presence. Over the next few days, I started trying to rebuild the pieces of my sanity, like a puzzle where half the pieces had been switched out for lies. I made lists, logged everything Danielle had done, dates, moments, inconsistencies. I searched her social media, her tagged photos, her followers. That was when I noticed something odd. She had a second account, private, fewer than 100 followers. The name didn't even include Danielle. It was something weird, at L4 Queen Bee. It had pictures of money, designer bags, captions with coded language, emojis that meant nothing until you knew what they stood for. I clicked through the followers. One handle stood out at Janohu. That name triggered something. I had heard it before. Amaka had mentioned it during a family gathering 2 years ago. Some small-time dealer who got caught in a bust but walked free due to a technicality. Allegedly had ties to a crew that moved product through parties, house events, social circle. I Googled it. The name was real. The photos matched. And there, in a tagged story from 3 months back, was Danielle, smiling, holding a bottle of champagne, sitting beside Jay in a velvet booth. Suddenly everything aligned. She wasn't just reckless. She wasn't just cruel. She was connected. This wasn't a prank. This was a setup. And now, finally, I had a thread to pull. I created a fake company email. Carewave Consulting, it said. Logo looked legit. Address pointed to a shared office space downtown. I even threw together a basic landing page. Amaka helped me draft the job description. Social media manager for a boutique brand specializing in influencer strategy. Flexible hours, high pay, quick onboarding. The kind of bait someone like Danielle wouldn't ignore. I sent the invite to her burner account, the one tied to at L4 Queen Bee. The subject line was simple. "We were impressed with your profile. Interview scheduled." She replied in under an hour. "Looking forward to it." No hesitation. The plan was simple. She'd walk into the co-working space, sit down for a fake video call, and we'd record everything. Not just her face, her reactions, her words, how she slipped up when she thought no one was really watching. We paid a guy to rent the room, set up discreet cameras, and play the role of recruiter. Nothing pushy, just friendly questions. The rest, we hoped, would unravel on its own. She came in 15 minutes early. Bright yellow jacket, nails like razors. Walked in like she owned the building. At first, she played it smooth. Talked about branding experience. Dropped vague terms like market alignment and aesthetic direction. But as the interview went on, the recruiter steered things subtly, asking if she'd ever worked with nightlife promoters or exclusive network. Her answers got looser. She bragged about helping friends move product without leaving fingerprint. Said she was used to working under the table. Laughed like it was a joke, but her eyes didn't blink. We got it all. That night, I couldn't sleep. My hands shook as I scrubbed through the footage. Amaka stood behind me, arms crossed, jaw clenched. "She just admitted it," I said. "That's not enough," she replied. "You need the beginning, the part no one saw." That's when I remembered the security system. We had Nest cameras, one in the hallway, another pointed at the entry, but I hadn't checked them in weeks. I thought Emeka had disabled the subscription. Turns out he didn't. He just deleted the files. I contacted a data recovery specialist. Paid him more than I could afford. I didn't care. He worked through the night, dug through caches, shadow copies, encrypted folders. By sunrise, he had something. I watched the footage in complete silence. Danielle, in gloves, entering my bedroom, 2 bags in her hand. She opens my closet, moves aside the suitcase, unzips it, carefully places both bags inside, adjusts the lining like she's folding a napkin. Then she wipes the closet handle with a tissue, steps back, and smiles at the camera before leaving. She looked proud. I didn't move for a long time. Just sat there, staring at the screen. It wasn't just about proving my innocence anymore. It was about exposing everything. Everything she thought she got away with. Everything Emeka chose not to see. And everything I was finally ready to bring into the light. I didn't walk into my lawyer's office. I stormed in. Laptop in one hand, USB in the other. He was mid-call. I didn't care. I need you to watch this, I said. He paused, read my face, and nodded. I plugged in the drive. We sat in silence as the video played. Danielle entering my bedroom, gloved hands, methodical movements, placing the drugs like she was setting the table for dinner. By the end, he exhaled. We'll send this to the district attorney's office immediately. Don't say a word to anyone yet. Let them do their part quietly. I agreed. For the official route, I stayed silent. But I wasn't finished. Later that night, I edited the footage, blurred her face, removed the timestamp, muted the sound. I added a caption and uploaded it anonymously to a local neighborhood forum under the title. Would you trust this person in your home? No details. No context. Just the image of a woman planting something suspicious, then walking away like she owned the place. Within 24 hours, it had 15,000 views. Within 48, someone commented, "Isn't that the Okafor's guest room?" Danielle's world started cracking. She stopped posting on social media. Deleted her burner account. A neighbor told Amaka she'd seen Danielle yelling on her phone outside the house, pacing like a trapped animal. 2 nights later, someone egged Emeka's car. Another day, a mom from down the street posted, "If you know who this is and you're still protecting her, you're part of the problem." I didn't say a word. Danielle texted Emeka nonstop. He wouldn't let me see the messages, but Amaka heard from someone that he was trying to manage the damage quietly. That word, manage, made my stomach turn. He still didn't believe me. Or maybe he couldn't afford to. Then came the day he showed up at Amaka's place. No warning. Just knocked on the door like we hadn't spoken in weeks. His eyes looked bloodshot, like he hadn't slept. He asked to talk. I said no. He said, "I need to show you something." And that's when I knew. He'd finally seen it. Not the anonymous video, the full version. The one with her face. Her gloves. Her victory smile to the camera. He stood there silent, waiting for me to invite him in. I didn't. "You were right," he said. "She told me. Not everything. But enough." I just looked at him. He opened his mouth like he wanted to explain, maybe even cry, but I closed the door. Let him stand in that silence. Let it sink in. Because there was no speech that could undo what he'd allowed. No apology strong enough to erase the months I spent questioning my reality, begging to be believed. Danielle was unraveling. And now, finally, so was Emeka. But me? I was just getting started. He came again the following week. This time, he didn't knock like a visitor. He banged like someone desperate to be let in. Amaka opened the door. I heard her voice from the kitchen, low and flat. "She doesn't owe you anything." Then his voice shaky. "Please. Just 5 minutes." I didn't want to see him. I didn't even want to feel him near me. But curiosity can be cruel when you've spent your whole life needing answers. I stepped into the hallway. He looked like a man who had aged 10 years in 1 week. Wrinkled shirt, unshaved jaw, phone clutched in his hand like a lifeline. His eyes found mine. "She told me everything," he said. I didn't flinch. He stepped inside before I said he could, holding out his phone. Danielle said it was peer pressure. She said someone made her do it. That she didn't mean to involve you. I tilted my head. "And you believe that?" He swallowed. "I don't know what I believe anymore." I took the phone from his hand, set it on the table, and walked to my bag. From it, I pulled out the flash drive. "Sit down," I said. He did. I plugged it into the laptop and hit play. First came the recording from the interview. Danielle laughing, bragging about moving things without getting caught, calling herself the go-between, talking about how she liked keeping her hands clean but pockets full. Then I opened the folder of screenshots. Text threads. One where she sent someone a message. I stashed it. "She won't know." Another. "My brother's wife is clueless." And finally, the footage. The hallway cam. Danielle walking into my room with the bags. Opening my closet. Making the drop. Wiping it all down like it was just another Tuesday errand. Emeka didn't say a word for the first 2 minutes. Then he lowered his head into his hands. "I didn't know," he said. "I swear to God, Zara, I didn't know." I sat across from him. Calm. Still. Watching him unravel like a spool of thread. "She lied to me," he said. "She's my sister." I thought. I raised a hand. Not to stop him, just to cut the noise. He looked at me then. Really looked. Like he hadn't seen me in months. Like something finally broke through that fog he'd been living in. I was wrong, he whispered. I should have listened. I should have protected you. I said nothing. Not because I didn't have anything to say, but because nothing I said would reach deeper than the silence already had. There was no rage left in me. No plea. No point. He searched my face for a flicker of forgiveness. A sign I might meet him halfway. I just stood up, closed the laptop, and left the room. He didn't follow. He couldn't. That was the moment it clicked for him. Not just what Danielle had done, but what he had allowed. And by the time he figured it out, I was already gone. Danielle was arrested outside a nail salon in Midtown, just before noon. She didn't scream, didn't struggle. Just blinked like she couldn't believe it was happening. The officers read her rights in full view of everyone. One woman stepped out from the shop with foil still on her fingers and filmed the whole thing. I saw it later online. No audio, just Danielle's stunned expression as they led her away. The news traveled fast. Group chats lit up. Neighbors whispered. Someone even sent flowers to Amaka's place, no note attached. I read the official statement 3 times. Arrested on multiple charges related to possession, distribution, and obstruction. I thought it would bring me closure. I thought I'd feel something. Relief. Satisfaction. Maybe even joy. I didn't. It felt quiet. Almost too quiet. I guess I'd imagined justice would be louder than this. A few days after the arrest, Emeka called again. Then twice more. The voicemails were long, rambling, filled with half-truths and apologies. He used words like mistake, confused, and blinded. He asked if we could meet. Just talk. Just once. I didn't reply. I didn't even consider it. I was too busy trying to put myself back together. Therapy became routine, Mondays and Thursdays. I started going on walks again. Long ones. No music. Just the sound of my footsteps and the wind. It helped. I was learning how to sleep without fear. To open drawers without expecting something missing. To see my own reflection and not wonder if I was the problem all along. It took me weeks to finally call my parents. I sat on the bed with the phone in my lap, thumb hovering over the number. When my father answered, I froze. He said my name once, just once, and it broke the dam inside me. I told them everything. The arrest. The setup. The silence from Emeka. The way I had begged to be heard and no one listened. When I finished, there was a long pause. I waited for disappointment. Instead, my mother said softly, "You are stronger than I ever knew. I'm proud of you." My father added, "We're behind you. Whatever you decide to do next." I didn't know I needed to hear that until it came. At work, people had started treating me differently. Not with pity, but with distance, like I had been through something they couldn't quite name. One woman in accounting, who barely knew me, left a post-it on my desk that read, "You're inspiring." I stared at it for 10 minutes before putting it in my drawer. I wasn't trying to be inspiring. I was just trying to survive. And I was. Emeka never got the meeting he wanted. He never got the chance to explain. I had nothing left to give him, not even anger. Danielle would face her day in court. And me? I had already begun reclaiming my own. I filed for divorce on a Thursday morning. No dramatic confrontation. No final phone call. Just a quiet signature on a document that marked the end of something that should have never survived as long as it did. The final straw wasn't the drugs. It wasn't even Danielle. It was Emeka's silence. His stillness while my world burned. Danielle stood trial with a lawyer who barely looked prepared. I didn't attend the hearings. I didn't need to. Justice was already moving with or without me. I watched the updates from afar, sipping tea in Amaka's living room. When it was over, I didn't throw a party. I didn't post a single thing. I just packed the last of my things, left the house key on the counter, and walked out of that life forever. But I didn't stay quiet. Not really. I started a blog under a pen name. Nothing flashy. Just one post at a time. Stories. Questions. Signs to look for. Little red flags that too many women ignore. I didn't say who I was. I didn't need to. The words spoke for themselves. And slowly, comments started appearing. I thought I was crazy too. This happened to me. Thank you. Healing isn't loud. It doesn't come with applause. Sometimes it's the sound of your own footsteps walking away. My name is no longer tied to their lies. My peace is no longer something they can take. And if there's one thing I've learned, it's this. Never let love blind you to your own worth. Because once you finally see clearly, you never go back. Do you believe I made the right decision walking away from Emeka and everything we built, or would you have handled it differently? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear your take. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications if you're into real-life stories like mine.